Hello, everybody. Lottery for Life here with my buddy Joe for part 2. Although, whereas the previous one was Magic player reacts to Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know what I'm going to title it entirely.
Something.
This is going to be the reverse, where Yu-Gi-Oh! Player reacts to Magic, well, crazy Magic cards. How about that? Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. So most of these are going to be alternate win conditions that Magic has, which are only a few of the many win conditions that Magic has available to it. A few are extra turn-based, and the first few are just going to be kind of off-the-wall cards. We're only going to start with about 18 or so. Maybe if we do another one, I'll find a few more that are particularly weird. So first things first, if you're familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic is kind of a different beast. Magic doesn't have a power system to base on summoning. Magic uses a mana system, which is based on cards that you draw called basic lands. You play one land a turn. Those lands tap for mana. You spend that mana on spells. So on turn 1 you have 1 mana, on turn 2 you have 2, but you don't always have 2 on turn 2 because your lands are mixed into your deck. So there's a bit of a randomness, a bit of chance to it. So you have to get your proportions and your numbers and your math right. There's some ways to get more mana than you need on certain turns, and we might see some of those in another time that are a little bit infamous. Some of the most powerful cards in Magic, or the most well-known, are ways to get mana that you shouldn't have access to. You start off with 20 life. Most creatures are in regards to that. So usually a 1 mana creature will be a 1/1, a 2 mana will be a 2/2. You know, the sizes are kind of usually contingent upon the cost of the creature and how hard it is to cast it, meaning how many colors it takes to cast it. In Magic there are 5 different colors of Magic. Each one has specialties that it is good with. Green is usually large creatures, red is small creatures and like burn, direct damage spells. White is lots of small creatures and life gain. Black is usually creature destruction. Blue is card draw and counterspell, that sort of a thing. And so these colors can be kind of combined to build different archetypes and stuff depending on what cards are in standard at the time. It's fun to play. It's expensive, as all trading card games are, but we've got a lot of really interesting stuff we're able to do and some things that we're not able to do. For the most part, it's the same. You have a battlefield, you have a deck, you have a graveyard, you have a banish or exile. You have spell cards that can be activated only on your turn or instant speed. Some of the key differences is infinity is acceptable in this game. When there's no limit to the number of creatures on the fields, you can have infinite life, you can deal infinite damage, you can have infinite creatures. It's kind of just whatever is whatever.
Yeah. Infinite's only ever existed in a TV show.
Yeah, infinite exists in the game quite frequently.
Yeah, and then in Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever they bring an infinite card into real life, they always just make it to where it gains attack equal to whatever happens to be strongest on field.
Yeah, it's infinite happens often. And yeah, a lot of combo decks are built around causing infinity and winning through that in some way or another. The rules for Magic are way too complicated, and there's a huge long book, so that's about all I'm going to get into with it. But most cards that have specific rules on them will be described. So I'm going to start with something kind of simple. I will let you know this card was banned in Modern because it was essentially a free card in a deck. It was 4 extra cards that you just didn't need to worry about. So this card is called Ataxia Probe. And there's the fun art, and you're gonna get to enjoy this.
I've actually heard of this card because a YouTuber named MCO40 did a video on what if this card was in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that was like 2 years ago though. I can't remember anything from it. So it's got some creepy Cthulhian artwork. Some kind of weird looking symbol can be paid with either water or 2 life. Okay, that's fun. So basically give up 2,000 life because, I guess
a tenth of your life, roughly.
Yeah, so then a tenth, so that'd be what, like 1,500 life in Yu-Gi-Oh! Something like that. Look at target player's hand, draw a card. So that's what it.
This can be potentially a free card for the cost of a tenth of your life. You look at their hand and you draw a card.
So that's literally, I get to know what you're doing, and I get to get a free card. The closest thing to this in Yu-Gi-Oh! is a spell card called Upstart Goblin. You give your opponent 1,000 life, and you get to draw a card. That's the closest thing to it in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I can think of.
So,
that's just dirty.
Yeah. Now, you want to talk about card draw. This is a card called Enter the Infinite, and I don't have this card on me, so I'm sorry about the shoddy quality off my phone. And read Enter the Infinite for me, my friend. You're gonna love this.
This card art is giving me a migraine.
Oh, it's
Oh, it just dawned on me that's a person there. Okay.
That's a face, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it needs 4 water plus 8 more mana. Dang.
It's expensive.
Yep, that's what, 12 total mana?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be using this on turn 1, that's for sure. You just are like, there's a way to do it turn 1, aren't you?
Not most often. No, technically. Yeah, but not really.
Okay, so draw cards equal to number of cards in your library to put a card from your hand on top of your deck. You have no maximum hand size until your next turn. So wait. You draw your entire deck, then you get to put one on top of your deck so you don't lose from deck out next turn.
Yes.
And then you have no maximum hand size until the end of your next turn.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct.
We don't even get to have Pot of Greed, which is a draw 2, and you get to draw your entire deck literally for
12 mana. And here's how you get this out cheaper. This is a card called Omniscience. Anyone who wants to look this up, feel free. These two are part of a combo deck mode. They're not, main.
Oh god, this thing needs just 2 less mana. It's 10, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Enchantment, M19, I don't know what that means.
The set it's from.
Oh, okay. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. So, you activate this, you draw your whole deck for free, and then you just, I don't know, burn your opponent for game with a bunch of burn spells?
Cast all your spells for free.
Fair and balanced gameplay.
Now it's 10 mana. If you've survived until turn 10 as a control deck, you've won. So you're talking about specifically deck out. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about a card that I love called Laboratory Maniac. Go ahead and read what Laboratory Maniac does.
This guy looks like he's having a lot of fun. Well, I mean, he's a maniac. I guess that's kind of par for the course. He needs water plus 2, any mana. He's a human wizard, 2/2, drawn by Jason Felix. I'm giving you. Okay, so if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead.
So you can even avoid death by deck out with the right creature.
And win instead!
And win. Because the rule is, in Magic, if you draw from an empty deck, you lose the game.
Same in Yugioh. So...
Yeah, you have him on the field.
If you do your draw for everything, and then you activate a draw spell, and then you activate another draw spell, you win.
You win. Absolutely.
Reminds me of a funny time when I was playing one of the older Yu-Gi-Oh games. My opponent, it was one of the AI, and the AI was really bad in the old games. Mm-hmm. And he had 1 card left in deck and activated Pot of Greed, so he drew 2, but you can't draw the second card, so he auto-lost.
and just in case any Magic players are watching this, the term is, you usually refer to mana cost not by the symbol, by the color. So blue, white, red, green, black. Okay. So you don't call it water. I'm cringing a little bit every time he says it.
But it's got a water symbol.
Yes, it's blue.
I'm a Duel Masters fanboy.
Yes, it's blue. So, sticking with the theme of we're with the alternate win conditions for right now. This is Azor's Elocutors. You all can enjoy that. This symbol means either this mana or this mana. Just one or the other.
Oh, so sun or water.
Fuck off.
Okay, so I guess that's light, and we're...
White. It is white.
So it's not light?
White and blue.
Okay, so white and blue. So a white and a blue plus a white and a blue or a blue. That's what I meant. Okay. Yeah. Plus 3 more. Azor's Elocutors? I almost read that as Electrocutors.
Yeah. I said that a number of times myself.
He's a human advisor, has a crown for his symbol. I know. I'm getting in trouble. Ravnica, isn't that like a new set or something?
We actually just released Guilds of Ravnica, which is the 3rd time we visited the plane of Ravnica, and is the 7th set to take place on Ravnica. Okay, because I follow a few Magic Yugi, I almost called them Magic Yugi YouTubers, Magic YouTubers, and they've been talking about Ravnica, and I don't understand any of it. Yeah, Ravnica's a cool place.
Alrighty, so at the beginning of your upkeep, put a filibuster counter.
Yes, filibuster counters, my friends. That is what that says. On
Azor's Elocutors. Then if Azor's has 5 or more filibuster counters on it, you win the game. Whenever a source deals damage to you, remove a filibuster counter from Azor's Elocutors. Oh god, I keep wanting to say Electrocutors. So, after you draw and do your upkeep and all that fun stuff, you get a counter on him. So technically, if you can go
at the beginning of your upkeep, actually.
So if you can go 5 turns without taking any damage, you win the game.
Yes. Or if you can find ways to put more counters on things and increase the number of filibuster counters on it.
Which we talked about in the previous video, where Yu-Gi-Oh has stuff, but they always make it a generic counter or call it a spell counter.
So here's a card that could not exist in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just not possible.
Okay.
This is Battle of Wits. It is essentially a field enchantment. Go ahead and read it. It's just a very simple...
Oh, I think you've told me about this. 2... just called it water again. 2 blue, plus 3 generic... enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 200 or more cards in your library, you'll win the game. Wow. Yes.
If you have a 200 plus deck when this is on the field at the beginning of your turn, you win. There is a deck that is a completely casual kitchen table deck that follows no ban lists that can win with this, starting with a 60 card deck.
Okay.
You can start with 60 cards and end up with more than 200. We'll deal with that later. Continuing with the alternate win conditions, this is Biovisionary, another creature from back in Ravnica. Go ahead and...
This artwork. Is he creating zombies or something?
No.
Okay, you got water, tree, and generic. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Blue, green, and generic. Biovisionary. Creature, human, wizard. My dog is yelling at me. Hang on.
Doesn't like magic. Jump cut. We're back.
Sorry about that, guys. My dog just wanted to browse my room for a second.
Make sure we didn't have any food. So, continuing where we left off with Biovisionary, go ahead and read that text for me.
Okay, so human wizard at the beginning of the end step, if you control 4 more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game.
Yes.
So it's basically Exodia and Yu-Gi-Oh?
Kind of.
I mean, Exodia but Magic, kind of?
Kind of like it. You can play a play set of 4. In Magic, you can have 4 copies of a card. I think I mentioned that already.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So you can play all 4 of these in one like that, or there's clone effects, or any number of the things. But I don't know if I would call it the Exodia of Magic. There's one more that I would much more hold that title to. Enter the Door to Nothingness. Go ahead and read that.
If you want to scooch up a bit, you can.
Oh, okay. I'll scoot like
I don't know why you're so far away.
I have long arms. And if I scoot too far forward, my legs kick the,
Alrighty, so... Door to Nothingness. 5 generic, so right away there's the parallel to Exodia. Artifact. Door to Nothingness enters the battlefield tapped, so it goes immediately in sideways, right?
Yeah, sideways.
2 white, 2 water, 2 deaf, black, 2 fire, red. Sorry, I keep wanting to go by freaking Duel Masters names, because this will literally be light, water, deaf. No, what was it in Duel Masters? Darkness, fire, and forest.
Hasbro owns Duel Masters too. It's okay.
But they can't seem to get it right in America.
They own Duel Masters.
Do you know Duel Masters is actually doing stupid well in Japan?
Oh, it does great. They've actually cross-promoted Magic the Gathering characters in it.
What?
Jace Bellerin, Jace the Mind Sculptor's got a card, and so does Nicol Bolas. They're both Magic characters.
Seriously?
Yeah. Nicol Bolas is actually the main antagonist of the story right now.
But do you have Bullshock Dragon in Magic the Gathering?
Volshock?
Bullshock Dragon.
I don't know.
He's the main character's boss monster from the original cartoon.
I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it.
Okay, so 2. Let me get this right. White, blue, black, red, green.
There you go.
Tap it. Sacrifice. Door to Nothingness. Target player loses the game.
There you go.
Wait, so you can make yourself lose again?
Anyone.
That's kind of funny.
Target player loses the game. I will also point you to the art. A man is holding that door.
Yep.
Which I did not notice the first 20,000 times I looked at the...
Really? I noticed it like the first second I looked at it.
I was more pulled to the fact that it was a giant portal that could make somebody lose the game. So I would more consider that the Exodia, because it costs 5 mana to cast it. It costs 2 of each color of mana to...
2, 3, 4, 5. And there's 5 mana
There's 5 colors. There's kind of that connection of 5 and stuff to it.
Yeah.
And instead of you winning, they lose. So it's more of blowing them up.
Yeah. Also, is it just me, but this Door to Nothingness reminds me a lot of Angemon's like final, like his Mega. I forget what it's called. Magna Angemon's attack from Digimon. Where
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know what Digimon is?
I mean, I know what Digimon is, but I never watched it.
Oh, so in Digimon, Magna Angemon, his like final attack thing is he opens up this giant door and it sucks in everything. It's a black hole. I'm a nerd, goddang it.
Hey, I am too. It's okay. I'm just apologizing to your stream for not knowing what we're talking about. So, how I mentioned that there are some decks that are focused on getting as much mana as possible. There is payoff for that. This is Helix Pinnacle. It is a field enchantment, sort of.
Needs 1 green. Yeah, I got it right. Shroud. What is Shroud?
Shroud means it cannot be targeted by spells or abilities that anyone controls. You can't target it, and no one else can target it.
Okay. Put X tower counters on Helix Pinnacle. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 100 or more tower counters on Helix Pinnacle, you win the game.
So you can pay however much mana you want to into X and activate that ability whenever you want, and the goal is to eventually put over 100 mana into it and win the game.
Dang. That kind of reminds me of a game, of a card called, what was it called? I can't remember, but it's a cannon, okay? And it's a continuous spell card. During each of your standby phases, it gets a counter on it. And then you can sack it to do 1,000 damage to your opponent for each counter on it. So if you have multiple out, like let's say you got 2, you got 4 counters.
We've got a couple cannons that do similar things. They're mana-based, though. So now it's time to enter the arena and enjoy some Mortal Kombat. This is from This is from 10th edition, so this is not recent Magic, but you can go ahead and enjoy that.
So you got Mortal Kombat, but we Yu-Gi-Oh players have DDR. I'm not joking about that. There's an equipped spell called DDR, Different Dimension Reincarnation.
We have Mortal Kombat.
I don't know which is better.
I don't know.
2 black. I almost called it dark again. Just be happy I'm not calling it Skull. 2 Skull, 2 generic. At the beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. I was kind of hoping it'd say punch your opponent and you win the game. Declare Mortal Kombat, rip out their spine.
You just have to have a lot of dead things, which
isn't too hard to do. I mean, heck, there are decks in Yu-Gi-Oh that can do that first turn.
Oh, yes, there's decks in Magic that can do that first turn. It's very easy. The question is, how do you get the enchantment out?
Sure.
So,
I mean, in Yu-Gi-Oh, just activate it.
Now that we've experienced some Mortal Kombat, unfortunately, we're all going to have ourselves a near-death experience.
Oh, fun.
So, a lot of these are enchantments, just so you know.
Near-death experience. God, that artwork. It's like, I don't even... It kind of looks like he's in Coral Highlands with a pyramid.
That's a dead thing behind him. That's a body of an Eldrazi.
Oh, I thought it was a giant mushroom.
Kind of.
Okay. 3 white. I almost called it light again. 2 generic. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 1 life, you win the game.
If you can manage to get yourself to 1 life and live, you win.
There's a funny card that just got banned a while ago called Self-Destruct Button. If your opponent has at least 8,000 more life points than you cause a draw.
That's great.
I think it's 8,000 life. It's something like that.
So, you would like the Eldrazi as a kind of a thing. They're kind of the...
I mean, I freaking love Cthulhu and stuff.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying. They're kind of these Cthulhu eldritch beings that exist outside of the planar system and kind of just consume and have these otherworldly intentions.
Yeah, a friend of mine is obsessed with the Eldrazi, and he knows how much I like Lovecraft, and his favorite is this one that is a giant tentacle monster. It's a dark, and I think it can take control of your opponent or something. I have no idea what the name is.
That's one of the copies of Emrakul.
Emrakul, that's
one of whom you will be seeing very shortly. Spoiler alert, it's not that exact one.
Okay. Wait, there's more than one?
Oh yeah, no, they've printed multiple copies of her.
Okay.
She's appeared in multiple sets. So now it's time for a test of endurance. Go ahead, another enchantment. Okay,
test of endurance. This artwork reminds me of what's the card? I can't remember, but it's a trap card that's been banned forever. Because the artwork shows 2 people, well, a dude and a 8-headed dragon fighting each other in a very similar style. 2 white, 2 generic. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 50 more life, you win the game.
So if you have more than double your life, you win. And there are many cards that reference your life points being high enough to win.
That's pretty funny. I'm sure Yugioh will have something like that one of these days.
So now we're kind of looking away from alternate win conditions. We're going to look at a few extra turn cards. This one is a card that was actually just printed in the most recent set, Guilds of Ravnica, which just came out last week. Actually, I think it was the pre-release. So I think it's actually available as of today, I think, more or less. It can be being bought. So this is a spell called Chance for Glory.
Yeah, the Crusades, I think. Okay, so kind of.
Kind of.
One white, one red. I keep on.
There you go.
Freaking Duel Masters. I barely even played it, and one generic. Actually, it's more like Force of Will that's making me do that. I haven't played Force of Will in forever either. Instant creatures you control gain indestructible. Take an extra turn after this. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game. Oh.
One last chance.
So, I mean, heck, if you're at 2 or 1 life anyways, might as well as go out with a bang.
So, indestructible makes it so your creatures can't be destroyed because they're indestructible. So they don't die from combat damage and things like that. And then you take an extra turn. At the end of that, if you haven't won, you lose. But you can win before that turn's over. We're going to look at another very famous extra turn spell. This is Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, in her original and most glorious of printings.
Well, now we're something straight out of Bloodborne, and I love it.
She's wonderful.
15 generic. Dang.
Yes.
15/15 for attack and toughness. I almost said defense, but
power and toughness.
Okay. Eldrazi, legendary creature. Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, or Aeon, I can never...
Aeons, I've done it.
Can't be countered. That's fun. When you cast Emrakul, take an extra turn. I like it how they just called her Emrakul, and Yugioh, they would write out the full name every time. Take an extra turn after this one. Dang. Flying, protection from colored spells. Annihilator 6. What's Annihilator?
So, Annihilator is an ability found only on Eldrazi.
Okay.
And it says whenever this creature attacks, the defending player must sacrifice X permanents, where X is the number on the Annihilator. So when she attacks, before she can be blocked, your opponent has to sacrifice 6 things off their field.
So that can be creatures...
Creatures, lands, enchantments, anything on the battlefield. 6 of them have to go before she can even be blocked.
What if they can't? To sacrifice 6?
Then they sacrifice up to 6.
Okay.
And then she hits them in the face.
See, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless it says specifically up to 6,
the rules text for Annihilator is...
Yeah, in Yu-Gi-Oh! It would be if you couldn't, like, attack things. Like, there were monsters that say, oh, when this card is summoned, search that specific thing, but if you don't have that specific thing in your deck anymore, you can't summon it. Because you can't trigger the effect on summon. It's mandatory. Flying, protection from colored spells. I already read that. When Emrakul is put into a graveyard from anywhere, its owner shuffles his or her graveyard into his or... Wait, what? So, okay, if this thing dies, you shuffle it and everything else back into your deck.
Yes. Or, if she is milled out of your library into your graveyard, you shuffle your graveyard back into your deck. All of the Eldrazi Titans, all 3 of them in their original printings, had mill resistance to them, where you could not be milled out as long as at least one of them was in your deck. Because every time they hit the graveyard, unless you responded to their ability by exiling them from the graveyard would be shuffled in, and then you have to mill them out again, but they would no longer be in it.
Dang, that is weird, but cool at the same time.
Flying also means that she can only be blocked by creatures that have flying or that have reach.
Yeah, I know what flying does.
And then protection, well... We have a camera in front of us. Protection from colored spells means she cannot be targeted or dealt damage by any spells that have a color to them.
Okay.
Which is most of them.
And since she's... Oh, okay. And so then this one's not colored. So are all the Eldrazi not colored, or...?
So some Eldrazi cost colored mana to cast, and some of them do have a color. The vast majority of them are either truly colorless or have an ability called Devoid, where even though they cost colored mana, they have no color.
And then, so you take an extra turn after this, so then you would just, you'd reset everything like normal. So then you could summon another one, and then take another action.
Well, based on the legendary rule, only one of her can be on the field at any given moment on your battlefield.
Okay, but if you somehow got rid of her and summoned another one?
If you summon another one, the legendary rule would make you sacrifice one of them. So you could cast another one, get the extra turn, and then sacrifice the one you just cast, so you can attack with the one that's already in there.
Okay, that makes sense. And then you'd get to shuffle
your deck back into your library, because there's no restriction on the number of legendary creatures you can have in your deck of the same name, except for...
But you can only control one legendary creature.
Of the same name.
Okay. I was thinking, for some reason, legendary, like with Chaotic, where you can only have one legendary card, period, in your deck.
So now we're going to look at some alternate lose conditions. Some ways that you can lose the game. So this is the Forbidden Crypt. It's another enchantment. This is an old card.
Okay, Forbidden Crypt, 2 dark, 2 black, 3 generic. I'm not even doing that on purpose. It's just my brain. Enchantment. When you would draw a card, instead return target card from your graveyard to your hand. If you can't, you lose the game. Whenever a card would be put into the graveyard, instead remove that card from the game. So basically, when you activate this, you're on a ticking timer to win before you run out of cards in your graveyard.
Yes, absolutely.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
And then from that point on, anytime you would put a card in the graveyard, it's banished.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting setup. I enjoy the way that one works. So now this is from a recent set, Magic Origins. It is Demonic Pact, featuring one of the main characters, Liliana Vess. She is not a good person, but she's one of the protagonist group, kind of.
Demonic Pact, 2 black. I have to think about it, otherwise I'm going to say dark. 2 generic. Enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. So each turn you got to choose one of these.
Right, and you cannot choose the same one twice, ever.
Okay. Demonic Pact deals 4 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 4 life. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Draw 2 cards. You lose the game. So, unless you get rid of this card somehow, each turn, you have basically 4 turns. Yes. Not even 4, you have 3, because on the 4th turn, you lose.
Yes.
You get some really good effects.
Yes, very high value effects.
For a very high cost.
For a potential risk of losing the game.
Yeah.
Now this card was in Standard at the same time we had a card called Harmless Offering, which allowed you to donate a permanent that you controlled and give it to your opponent. And so you would cast this, choose 3 of the options, and then give it to them, and the only option they have left to choose is you lose the game.
Wait, so then because that effect is continued, so they don't get to choose.
It's tracked on the card, if you were to bounce this, the options would be reset. But because that card has never left the battlefield, all the options have already been chosen.
That is so weird. See, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, it would be reset. Well, actually, wait, I don't know. I'd have to see that, because I know some effects carry, some don't. That's the weird thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like some effects that, like, if you've already yeah, I think it would carry over in Yu-Gi-Oh too. So okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry,
it's a fun card.
Yeah.
And the last card that we're going to talk about is
I see a waifu.
She's very cool. So this card is a very interesting build-around card for Commander players, and her rules text are very interesting. This is Phage the Untouchable. Some people call her Phage. I mean, Phage. I don't know how you pronounce that, so feel free to, however.
Well,
go ahead and read it.
PH, if you think about...
It'd be like the.
Yeah, like Desu Phage or whatever. So it is PH Phage. So Phage the Untouchable. And I'm pretty sure that her name and more than likely her effect are related to the phage type of infections and stuff.
Mostly.
So let's see here. It looks like there's zombies in the background or something too. Okay, I take back the waifu thing.
She's pretty great though.
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4 black, 3 generic, so 7 total. Why don't they just put the number on like the
because
color?
It's hard to read that.
I guess so. I just feel like that
the symbols are in black mostly, so it's hard to put a number on that. You know.
Sure. So when Phage the Untouchable enters the battlefield, by the way, she's a 4/4 and she's an avatar minion. When Phage the Untouchable enters the battlefield, if you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. So wait, if like you summon her from your graveyard, you lose instantly.
If she enters the battlefield at all and you did not cast her from your hand, you lose the game.
Could you like summon her from your graveyard onto your opponent's field and they lose instantly?
There is a way to do that, kind of.
Okay. Whenever Phage deals damage to a creature, destroy that creature, it can't be regenerated, so I guess that means you can't bring it back from grave.
So Regeneration is a specific keyword.
Okay.
It's kind of not important.
Okay.
Just destroys a creature.
Okay. Whenever phase deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game.
Yes.
So, wait, if she does any kind of damage to the opponent, you instantly win.
Yes, so if she hits a creature, the creature dies. She hits your opponent dies. And what is interesting about Phage here...
Yeah, then she's definitely a reference to a Desu phase. I think that's the word.
Yeah, what's interesting about her is that there's a way around losing the game if she enters the battlefield and you didn't cast her from your hand. Because the ability that activates, that checks if she has been cast from the hand or not, is a triggered ability that can be countered.
Oh, so you can negate it.
You can negate it. Whether that is actually countering a triggered ability through a spell or through effects that say they end the turn. Because ending the turn exiles everything that's currently on the stack, which is like the chain. Any things that are currently waiting to resolve get exiled. And so you can end the turn while that ability is resolving and get rid of that clause.
Oh.
So, and for commander players, which is a format helmed by legendary creatures, of which Phage is one, your commander starts in a zone called the command zone. It's cast from there. So you can't cast her from your hand.
Oh.
So you have to find a way to negate that in order to be able to use her, even though she's a very powerful effect.
So in Commander, you have to use your legendary creature from that zone. You can't have other legendary creatures.
Well,
in
you
your
can
deck?
have other legendary creatures, but the one that is your commander exists in the command zone. And when they die, instead of going to the graveyard, you can choose to send them back to the command zone. They just cost 2 more mana every time you cast them from them.
I'm kind of curious to know what Commander is, but I have a feeling it'd be here for another hour. So
It'd be another video, more or less.
All right. So
that is a look at some alternate lose conditions, alternate win conditions, a few extra turn cards. Not really many.
Unfortunately, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have much of any of those. I mean, heck, I googled it. We have 12, I think, alternate win conditions for Yu-Gi-Oh, and one of them's banned.
So that wasn't all of the extra win conditions. Most of those are all still legal, and by most I mean I think all the ones I told you about are legal. That was 2 of about 30 or 40 extra turn cards, more or less.
We have 2 in Yu-Gi-Oh.
We've got a lot. There's entire decks that are built around taking extra turns, and I kind of just picked the first few I saw that were interesting.
If you're going to keep taking people's turns, why don't you just play Solitaire?
Well, to be fair, there's a term for that, and it's called goldfishing. It's if your opponent can be replaced by a goldfish in a bowl, you're playing a goldfish because your opponent doesn't matter.
At least the goldfish would be more. The goldfish would at least be more entertaining.
Right. So decks that are very control heavy and infinite turn kind of tend to do that.
See, in Yu-Gi-Oh, we call those solitaire decks because you might as well be playing solitaire.
Goldfishing.
Yeah.
So
it's the same difference, different term.
Basically the same thing. So yeah, we've got a lot of really weird cards. That's not even the weirdest. Those are just win cons.
If I were to bring anime cards into this situation, we'd get into some really weird stuff.
I mean, I could bring in anime cards too. There was a Magic the Gathering manga that was released in Japan, and there was some cards that were revealed in that didn't actually ever exist.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a Magic the Gathering manga, yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
There was a Magic the Gathering manga, yes. They turned the big near-death experience, the big buff boy. That's Gideon Jura. He's one of the mainline planeswalkers. They made him into like a shoujo yaoi boy. Yeah, he doesn't look bad. I'll be honest, but he's like in the anime. He's in the card game. He's big, buff, broad shouldered, and in the manga he's just this really narrow built, kind of skinny guy.
Oh my god.
But yeah, no, there was a Magic Gathering manga. It's kind of hard to find. There was novels. They're actually just now releasing a new comic book, which people are kind of complaining because the art's not great because it's skin tight chainmail.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the comic artist decided they were going to draw the chainmail on the main character on the cover, kind of skin tight, showing abs. It's like, I appreciate it, but
is it a girl or a guy?
It's a girl, and she's wearing skin tight chainmail just over her abdomen, and then is wearing like regular armor. And now, granted, her character design does have her having chainmail there, but
I kind of
skin tight chainmail.
You would figure people would appreciate that.
Skin tight chainmail.
See, I heard someone.
Really?
We gotta talk about this.
We'll talk about it another time.
Yeah,
there's a lot there.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more of this kind of stuff whenever Joe's over and stuff,
we've got lots more cards to talk about.
Yeah, I know. Just thinking about this has got my mind going on what kind of cards I can have Joe read and react to, especially something like Zark, because there's more cards like that.
Don't make me do this. Don't make me do that again.
Gonna get started.
I will pull out all the fucking stops. I will get the most rules lawyery fucking cards we have. The ones that require a judge call even when you know what it does. I will pull those out and make you read them.
I'm curious.
Oh, we've got a few.
I got a few of those too.
We've got a few.
So guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I already said that, but hey, again, thank you. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. And Joe, got any final things you want to say?
Try Magic.
Try Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, that too.
Just don't try Pokemon, it's boring.
I mean, you know.
The games are fun.
The games are fun, but the
Card games. You really are playing solitaire.
Yeah, it could really use some work. And don't give up on other card games because they're dead. I mean, Chaotic's still fun and Forcible is still a lot of fun.
Yeah,
you know?
Forcible's actually still alive. They just got a new set released.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Chaotic's still fun to play. It's an interesting setup with a really unique like.
And if my camera wasn't dead, we'd record some of that too.
Yeah, we'd play some of it. It's unique. Give it a shot. You know?
Yep. See y'all later. Peace out. Goodbye.
All right.